Hello, my name is Tesh Patel. I am a managing partner at Nava Solutions. We're a managed service provider, and it's a pleasure to get to know you all.
My name is Nicole Hodges. I am the Regional Manager of Instructional Development and Design with Goodwill of North Georgia. I have been a part of the Goodwill of North Georgia family for the last 10 years.
Yes, I'm Whitney Carnes. I'm the president of Serenity Computer Consulting. We are what is known as an MSP, that is a managed services provider. That means we come into a company and take over everything IT related, server maintenance, technical support, um, uh, technology consulting. We serve as a CTO or a CIO for the company if they need that level of support. Basically, we just are the entire IT department for small businesses.
Tell us about your career path and how did you end up in your current role?
Regarding the career path, I started off uh, as an engineer, but after that, I had a chance to go work in the field, really get some experience in the IT world firsthand. Um, that led me to other opportunities to work for a software company, which then led me to come and talk to my brother about starting our own company. That journey took 15 years. So there's a lot of patience that's involved in that journey. One of the key things that you have to do is just continuously keep on learning. There are things happening, in the technology world. Constant changes are happening. There are constant new trainings are being provided, new tools. Example, AI is now embedded into every single platform that we've never known before. So just staying on brushed up on top of those things, really understanding and leveraging what is out there and really getting ahead of it. Don't wait for people to teach you. Just get to the help center, start playing around with things, really make yourself familiar, see what's out there, read all the videos that you can. If you don't have the access or the means to actually do some of the work, there's a lot of video and informational videos out there that tell you exactly what you need to do in terms of when you do get that kind of access, you have a lot of that knowledge already in a repository. You can use that, reuse it, and really make yourself a proficient IT person.
I have always had a passion for helping people. I started working with children with disabilities, primarily autism, upon graduation from college. My undergrad is in clinical psychology, and I have a bachelor's degree. I transitioned from working with children with disabilities to adults when I realized that there were a lot of resources for children. With everything that we know about people with disabilities. The adults, however, didn't necessarily have access to those same resources. So I became really passionate about working with that population that didn't have access to those new resources. I originally, as I transitioned to working with adults, started working more in a residential setting, but was looking for a different challenge. And so what brought me to this place in supporting people with disabilities in employment, being able to help people with those barriers that they have to employment, assisting with removing barriers to help them achieve success and giving them access to the training. So I was able to kind of meet my skills and abilities and my degree along with my passion of helping people. What I've realized is that, throughout the years that everyone deserves dignity, respect, and quality of life. And I am a part of providing access to that for people who maybe don't have access to that. I started working with a grant and then transitioned to direct staff and then eventually management and workforce development. Now in my current role as regional manager of instructional development and design, I'm responsible for developing curriculum for the training programs and the hard skills to help people upskill themselves and not only find a job, but a better job and a career.
It's really funny. My journey is fairly similar. I went to UGA studying genetics because I wanted to be a veterinarian. And I didn't get into veterinary school. It's really competitive and difficult to get in. And so when I graduated, I started looking around for something to do. I worked in a lab for the USDA for a little while. And I decided that my heart really wasn't in the sciences. And I started looking around for something else and reached out to my parents owned a business, and they had an IT guy who'd worked on their computers all the time. And I said, well, I'm interested in computers. Maybe this is a good fit. And he said, well, why don't you come and shadow me and let's see if this is something that you really want to do. And it turns out that it was. I ended up being pretty good at it, and it kind of went from there. I worked for him for a couple of years and then went out on my own and have built up my company from there.
What is a typical day in your role? Are there any misconceptions about what your job is like?
Yes, a typical day in IT world is really just coming in, seeing what happened overnight, seeing what happened, seeing what happened last night, looking at logs, looking at what kind of requests, issues people are having. And on top of that, the misconception people have is that we just take laptops apart and change out parts. That's not exactly what we do. That is one of the things that that you have to know how to do, but that is not everything. A lot of it revolves around what your client, what your company that you work with, what they're asking you to do in terms of what systems to learn, what systems to use. So the day-to-day is really just built around just systems in place that that are going to be mandated by your employer. In our case, typically every IT company is going to have a RMM and a professional services automation solution, which are basically fancy ways of saying ways to monitor devices, their security. And the PSA is basically saying a ticketing system and a help desk system that helps you categorize and stay on top of your work. A lot of it requires soft skills, reading and understanding communication. Um, I would say, if I were to say on a typical IT day, it's 50% human interaction, 50% technology interaction. So you have to be really good at both.
In the tech industry, there are so many different avenues that you can enter, which may change what that typical day looks like. A lot of people think that working in technology, you are often working from home, but there are a lot of hybrid and on-site opportunities for technology. And in fact, most of them are. Those work from home opportunities are generally for people who have extensive experience in the industry. A typical day might be, troubleshooting for a customer. It could be researching, what is happening with the software and trying to work through those bugs. So that typical day will vary drastically, but you're going to work with your team. You're going to work independently. You're going to work with those customers.
So because I'm the president, I wear a lot of hats. I do everything from actual IT work. If something is, some of my techs need assistance or if they've got questions, I do sales. I do some of the business side of things in terms of, looking at the business growth and looking for new directions for the company to go in. So it's really varied, which is what I really like. I like the fact that, I get to do something different every day.
What kind of education, training, or certifications does your job require?
The job to get in the field, the job doesn't really require certification. A certification that, any programs that Career Rise are offering, I think those are a great start to start with, just to make yourself more knowledgeable about what the world that you're about to go into. But in terms of getting the job, I think the natural knack of wanting to be an IT person will be more. Any small company should be able to pick you up as long as you're inquisitive enough, and they will even pay you to get certified, so you can show that level of excellence to your customers and your clients and to your peers in your organization. But to get started, all you need is to be hungry and be self-motivated and be a self-starter. That, along with the other certifications that your employer may ask you to provide, or may pay to get you certified on, those are really going to be crucial to help develop your learning.
The people that have the most success with securing IT opportunities have both a bachelor's degree coupled with a credential. That credential is usually very specific to a software or one aspect of the technology versus just a computer science degree. However, in the industry, you can find opportunities just with credentials. You can get the CompTIA Plus certification. You can get your Salesforce certification or Cisco certification. Those certifications are crucial because they are short-term, but they also demonstrate that you have a working knowledge of a specific platform or software.
Everyone is always going to say go to college, and there are benefits to that. You get exposed to new people, to classes that you might not have had, previously. I can't tell you how many people I know who went to college thinking they were going to be one thing, took one class in a completely different subject, and all of a sudden that was the thing that they were passionate about. But that's not the only way. Like John, I benefited from a mentor and also on-the-job training. We also live in a time where basically the entirety of human knowledge is available for free. There's so many websites that offer very reasonably priced or even free training for all of the IT related things. And it's a great way to look at a bunch of different IT options. Like you were talking about in the beginning, there are so many different jobs that are possible. And looking at some of those training courses and going through them is a really great way to say, okay, well, this is actually where I want to focus. And while that may not be where you start from an entry-level position, it's definitely a way that you can focus your career as you go along, because you know that, security or website building or whatever it is what you think you ultimately want to do.
What kind of skills and traits are important for someone to be successful in your job?
From a skills and personality traits, just be from a skills perspective, just be self-starter, be organized, really good at communication on the soft skill side, being able to not jump to conclusions, ask questions. If you're not sure, own up to the fact that you're not sure, that you need more time to investigate. A lot of times that's the part that a lot of companies miss, is that they overpromise and underdeliver because they feel like they have to be experts at everything. 9 times out of 10, when customers ask us for something, sure, we know, but we still ask all the questions. Being organized, making sure you dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure that you have a pure understanding of what they're asking for. And then once you have that soft skill part down, the hard skills, just need to learn how to basically troubleshoot computers, know how your customers' email environments work, what kind of security they have, know how you can manage the security, and then piece it all together with the conversation aspect. A lot of times what happens is that people just think that you'll just automatically know all these things that they're asking about just because you're in IT. But the skills that are required is the process of just trying to figure out what is the problem and how do I get to the solution. And the most critical piece that a lot of employers fail on is that ability to educate everyone who's working there on how to properly cultivate a conversation that is going to help you get to the end point. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone call. Don't be the person that just constantly emails back and forth. So just being customer facing, put yourself in their shoes, really humanize them, and then approach the technology. I think those are the skills that will really help you succeed. And a lot of times you'll realize that those skills, your customers, even if you're not 100% sharp on your hard skills of IT, they'll be more than willing to be patient with you as you develop.
Working in IT, because technology is ever changing, if you look at the introduction of AI and how it has changed things, you have to be extremely flexible and adaptable. You have to be in this mindset of growth, continuous learning, because as that tech industry evolves and as there are shifts and changes and oversaturation in the markets, you have to grow your skills so that as those changes occur, you can also change and adapt and create value for yourself so that there's always those employment opportunities for you in the tech industry.
From a technical support standpoint, which would be where most of your students would probably start out if they were going to go in my direction, the most important skill is problem solving. So it's being able to identify the problem, to identify the issue at hand, to use Google and other resources to investigate that, to be able to look at the solutions that people have posted online and say, okay, that's probably not going to work in this case, or okay, that looks like a good one. Then document the changes or the things that you're going to try so that you can undo them if they don't actually resolve that in the end. Then make the changes and then see if that resolves the issue. And one of the important things that I tell my clients is, so we may make a change and then I'm going to let them sit and use it for a little bit. And I'm going to make sure that that actually does fix the problem. Because if I go through and I make 15 different changes, I don't know what actually solved the issue that they were having, because we've changed so many things. So I say, you know, the issue may continue, just let me know and we'll come back and we'll make the next possible change. But that structure and that method of problem solving is honestly the most important thing, because there's no way that any one tech can know every IT platform that's out there these days. There's just too much. So, but if you have that framework of problem solving, then you can get exactly where you need to be in the end.
What are good salary expectations in your field?
From a salary expectation, it really just comes down to your level of comfort level in terms of working with a smaller IT company versus a bigger one. Just know that the bigger one, the salary expectations will be higher, but the workload will also be higher. So as a starter, usually in the $50,000 range is where you'll really start with, and then you have upwards of potential opportunities from there once you really establish yourself as a true level 1 technician.
The technology salaries vary drastically based on experience, but for somebody coming in with little to no experience in the tech industry and a very entry-level certification such as IT support, they can expect $18 to $20 an hour. That dollar amount, the more certifications that you have will drastically increase because you have a lot more value to an employer. As previously mentioned, as that tech industry adjusts and adapts, the more certifications create more value, which creates more salary opportunity for yourself and makes you much more marketable.
What advice do you have for someone just starting their career?
Well, welcome to your journey. You have a long road ahead, and I don't mean that to scare you. I mean that in a very exciting way. My advice to you is that continuously keep learning, ask questions. If you're not sure who to ask questions to, there's Google will give you a lot of answers out there. So constant education of just getting sharper and sharper with the things that you know, things that you don't know. Be honest with yourself about where you lie in terms of skill set, and don't be afraid to reach out to a company like Nava Solutions or any other company to say, hey, can we shadow or do something to get more experience? I think anyone starting in the IT world, they don't realize, they think that you just have to go from getting the start to getting the job. But there is an in-between period where you still have to show that you're capable and that you're hungry enough to actually put in the work to actually get there. And that could be an internship for 2-3 months. It can be anything, but as long as you're constantly learning, constantly rubbing shoulders and trying to contact people who can give you those kind of opportunities, will help you go a long way. There's no such thing, and in IT, the only last advice, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And the reason I say that is because when you make assumptions, fail. If you ask and if you get clarity, then you will succeed. So in this journey, do not make assumptions, ask questions, reach out, and continuously keep on bettering yourself in terms of what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Be really honest about.
Some advice for somebody starting out in their career is that your journey is your journey. Take the opportunity to get your foot in the door. Pave and create your own pathway to achieve your own personal and professional goals. Sometimes the salary is not what we're looking for to start, but there's so much opportunity with that employer. Do not allow objection to discourage you. Sometimes a no is actually not a no. It's just sometimes a not right now. Utilize those objections to further drive you toward achieving your goals.
I would say again, talk to people who are in the career that you're interested in. Find out the good things and the bad things, because it's really important. There's so many things to a job that you don't really realize. For example, I really enjoyed studying science in college. And what I discovered that I really enjoyed about science in college is that we did something different every day, which is not the case when you work in a lab. In a science lab in the real world, you do the same thing every single day, which is necessary. But that didn't really connect with me because as I was studying science, you do a different experiment each week. So once I got and actually started working in a lab and I discovered that, I realized that, as much as I enjoyed science, as much as I enjoyed laboratory work, what I really, really enjoyed was doing something different every day. And I realized that the actual physical lab work was not going to be a good career for me. But you don't know that coming out of college. So talk to people who are in the jobs that you're interested in and find out, as much as you can, because the more you know going in, the more you can see if that's going to be a good fit. And then if it's not a good fit, the fantastic thing about IT is there are so many things. Like Monty was saying, if you go to school for coding and you discover that the practical side of coding is not for you, it's so easy to pivot into project management. And then that's a great fit because you actually understand what your coders are doing, as opposed to someone who just comes in from an organizational standpoint. Sure, they know the steps because that's their job, but they don't deep down really, really, truly understand what the people who are working on the project are doing. So having that background makes you way more valuable than someone who just comes in saying, well, I know how to organize people.